Thousands of NRM supporters yesterday gathered at Kawempe Mbogo Primary School grounds to welcome Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, the president of the nation, as he was campaigning for Farida Nambi, the NRM flag bearer for the Kawempe North Member of Parliament seat. And the president, in his speech while speaking to the people of Kawempe North, did tell them to stop and not make a mistake of voting for opposition members of parliament like they have done over the past 25 years, saying that they have not done anything to uplift the people of Kawempe North. Good morning. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najama, together with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono and Julie F. Nantaba. Musisi, welcome aboard. Let's start this day. What does it have for us today? And of course, the campaigns for the Kawempe North Member of Parliament seat did end yesterday. According to the Electoral Commission, no contestant is expected to be campaigning as of today or even tomorrow. The official campaigns did end. Now we wait and see who the best man or woman will be for the seat of Kawempe North. Good morning, Robert.
A lovely morning to you, and I hope you're very fine, because you seem to be looking very fine, I must say.
Thank you. Kawempe North. The president did mu Uganda tugamba yayiyewo omubiri, and the other contestants also had their people canvassing for votes for them. So what's your opinion about how far the things have come, and so far so good? Do you think so far so good or so far so bad?
Well, first I want to say may the best candidate win.
Okay.
Because the people of Kawempe need service delivery. It's not about which political party takes that day, but it's about the candidate that they elect, the final winner. Is this candidate going to deliver justice to the people of Kawempe? Kawempe has been abandoned for some good time, I must say. And I think it is time right now that they choose someone who can ensure that they service delivery or carry on, I'm sorry to use this word, but carry on the deceased legacy who was so much into. This doesn't depend on NUP, NRM or any other party, but having that spirit to work for the people, to see that those that sleep in water like frogs, not by choice, but because they have no any other alternative. These drainage channels, they are worked upon. There are many problems in Kawempe. So for me, I can say, because legally we are restricted in speech, so you're not supposed to sound in any way as canvassing votes for any of the candidates. But I think for me, what took my day, I want to run away from the campaigns and go to Parliament, where we had the Minister of State for Internal Affairs condemning the acts of JAT in the Kawempe by-election, where we had the Inspector General of Police, Abbas Byakagaba, coming out clearly and saying, we are going to hold this accountable. We have operating orders, we have standard operating procedures. So why would they unleash hunger at people? We are going to hold them accountable. And also Minister of State for Internal Affairs, David Muhoozi, General David Muhoozi, was very clear. He said, if you're in an operation, why do you have to conceal your identity? You're supposed to be very clear and visible. So we hope that these are not just words, but we see action being taken, because let's all be very honest. We want a smooth process of starting, during, and after elections.
Interesting, and you're right, because what we have seen happening in the Kawempe North campaigns and the response of the security personnel, it paints a bigger picture as to what we should expect in the upcoming general elections, and that's not a good one. And the other day we did have a conversation, on Monday we did have a conversation with a political analyst who did mention that in one way or another, when our security personnel do things of this nature, it's like they are actually making the opposition famous, yet they think they are working for government, and I think that's something that all of us should chew on as we do what we do.
And where I'm happy is
Yeah.
I'm happy because I've seen even those in NRM. I saw Tango Doi condemning it, who is the head of the Electoral Commission for NRM. The NRM spokesperson, Emmanuel Dombo, Honorable, also condemned it. Everybody is condemning it, whether in NRM or not in NRM. So we all agree these are not good acts.
Okay. Julie, good morning.
Good morning, Olive. Good morning, Robert. Good morning to you. Beautiful day to praise the Lord and start off with a hope that staying in Parliament, there is a proposed new law that is prescribing that household heads be jailed in case they cannot afford to have food stores or food security for their homes, be jailed for 1 year, or at least pay a fine of 400,000 Uganda shillings.
Now that means you avoid being a house head.
Yes, and seeing as
The safest way.
seeing as the trend
You
is
don't
that
commit yourself to head any house.
seeing as the trend is that women are quite the household heads. I wonder what that would look like, especially with the earning trend of most Ugandans.
What do you
that
mean
earn-
women are the household
Yes,
heads?
It is the trend. It is the trend. Women are mostly household heads, and
Where are the men?
men. I don't know what happens
Robert,
to
where are
the
the men?
Where are the men, Robert?
These days, men were taken to China, worked on and returned, because the men we grew up knowing, to be honest, I don't know, are not the men of today.
You know, I was thinking about.
And I want to tell you today,
Yeah.
there are very many women in marriage that are the heads of the homes. You see a young man looking for a woman who has established herself very well for him to come into that marriage. What happened to the African man? That wasn't our thing.
But
So today the men we are talking about are not the men that we grew up seeing. Very few of us still remain, but majority are not those men.
I was
that we
actually
grew up
thinking
seeing.
about Women's Day and the celebrations that took place. And I was thinking for the future that next year, as we celebrate Women's Day, perhaps the theme should be empowering and recognizing the masculinity of men. Perhaps some of the empowerment has
Why?
taken away men from their position.
We cannot have such a theme for Women's Day.
I'm just thinking out loud.
To
Just thinking
give
out loud.
credence to the claims that you, Robert, and Julie are saying. According to research, it shows that 31% of Ugandan households are female-headed. So there is the 69% that is still headed by men.
And in the next 10 years, I guarantee you that figure may be a 50-50.
Interesting. Well, let's have a look at our local news.
Well, we want to begin with what transpired in Kawempe, where President Yoweri Museveni yesterday campaigned for the NRM flag bearer Nambi Farida in the Kawempe by-election. During the rally held at Mbogo primary grounds, thousands of NRM supporters gathered to welcome and listen to President Museveni as he campaigned for the NRM candidate on the last day of the campaigns. Museveni urged the people of Kawempe North not to take another political mistake of electing opposition MPs, just like the way they have been doing it for the 25 years that may not represent them effectively. Museveni explained that the NRM government has ushered in peace and security, availed electricity, and provided free education for primary and secondary. That has led to establishment of factories that now provide employment. He pledged to increase the 100 million PDM, that is the parish development money, per parish for urban dwellers, since they are densely populated. The Prime Minister, Robiana Banja, and the Vice Chairperson of the National Resistance Movement, Alhaj Moses Chigongo, and other top NRM leaders also re-echoed President's appeal to send an NRM person to Parliament for effective representation. Farida Nambi explained that the warm welcome she has been receiving from Kawempe residents and her door-to-door campaigns have given her the hope that she will win the election slated for Thursday this week. During the campaign, several councillors led by one Pamela Namurondo defected to the NRM, including the wife of the deceased MP, the late Segirinya Mohammed, who all pledged their support for the NRM candidate Farida Nambi. The Kawempe parliamentary seat fell vacant after the death of Muhammad Segirinya in January. Officials from the Ministry of Water and Environment, led by their Permanent Secretary Dr. Alfred Otok Okidi, appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament to answer queries in the Auditor General's report of the financial statements of the Strategic Towns Water Supply and Sanitation Project ending 30th June. The main objective of this project is to support Government of Uganda efforts to achieve sustainable provision of safe water and hygiene sanitation for urban population by the year 2030. The project started in 2019 and is expected to be complete by 30th of June 2025. The chairperson of the committee, Muwanga Chivumbi, asked officials why by 4 years of implementing the project, 20 billion shillings had not yet been dispersed. The head of the project, Dr. Felix Tino Muchunguzi, said this is a period when the country was grossly affected by COVID-19 pandemic, where they experienced delays in importation of material. Some members of parliament asked officials to total cost of the project because, according to the documents, the cost is more than what had been given. On performance of the project receipts, the committee grilled officials on whether they asked for the supplementary budget before spending 25.31 billion shillings each since Parliament had approved 32.8 billion, yet the total receipts were 58.11 billion shillings. Officials explained to the committee that this was a multi-year project. The committee members also wanted to know why 5 activities worth 65.73 billion shillings of this project were not achieved by the 4th year out of the 28 sampled by the Auditor General. Finally, from the local scene, concerns have been raised regarding the conduct of security forces, including the Joint Anti-Terrorism Task Force, JAT, Police and Special Forces Command, SFC, especially during the ongoing Kawempe North by-election campaigns. Both the public and members of Parliament expressed dissatisfaction, arguing that security actions infringe on citizens' rights and undermine the independence of the Electoral Commission. However, the Inspector General of Police maintained that it is his duty to command the force to ensure law and order, warning that indiscipline among Ugandans will not be tolerated. The State Minister for Defense and Internal Affairs, General David Mohozi, also cited it in the Parliamentary Committee as unacceptable for security personnel to operate while concealing their identity. He assured the committee that the ministry is reviewing the matter to ensure that the security operations uphold peace, law and order in a lawful manner. This was during the meeting between the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Parliamentary Defense Committee on Internal Affairs, which aimed at addressing concerns regarding the installation of CCTV cameras across the country. Despite an allocation of over $100 million for Phase 1 and 2, which covered the installation of CCTV cameras in Kampala metropolitan area and the various municipalities, MPs have raised concern that many cameras are non-functional, contributing to rising rates of crime. The ministry, however, highlighted the need to increase funding to ensure the successful implementation of Phase 3, which aims to ratify the challenges experienced in the earlier phase.
Well, now let's have a look at the international news, where Ukraine has said it is ready to accept an immediate 30-day ceasefire with Russia proposed by the United States after a day of U.S.-Ukraine talks in Saudi Arabia. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said he would present the offer to Russia and that the ball is in their court. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said it was now up to the United States to convince Russia to agree to the positive proposal. Tuesday's talks in Jeddah were the first official meeting between the two countries since the extraordinary clash between Zelensky and U.S. President Donald Trump in the Oval Office back in the U.S. In a joint statement, the U.S. also said it would immediately restart intelligence sharing and security assistance to Ukraine, which Washington had suspended after the unprecedented meeting. Both delegations agreed to name their negotiating teams and immediately begin negotiations toward an enduring peace that provides for Ukraine's long-term security, the U.S.-Ukraine statement said. Rubio told a press conference in Jeddah late on Tuesday that he hoped Russia would accept the proposal. Now moving on, separatist militants hijacked a train carrying more than 400 people in an isolated mountainous area of southwestern Pakistan on Tuesday. A militant group that claimed responsibility for the attack said it was holding scores of security personnel who had been on the train, and it threatened to kill them if the Pakistani government did not agree to a prisoner exchange. The fate of the rest of the passengers was not immediately clear, though security officials said that at least 104 of them, mostly women and children, had been rescued and that 17 injured passengers had been taken to the hospital for treatment. The militants, Baloch ethnic fighters, forced the train to stop in the Bolan district of Balochistan province after opening fire on it, according to railway and police officials. The train was traveling from Quetta, the capital of Balochistan, to Peshawar, the capital of Khyber province. It was scheduled to pass through several cities including Lahore and Rawalpindi near Islamabad, but it became stranded inside a tunnel about 100 miles from Quetta as it came under attack, and the driver was killed, according to local authorities. Lastly, Al-Shabaab gunmen have stormed and laid siege to a hotel in central Somalia as government officials and tribal elders met to discuss action against the outfit. The armed group claimed responsibility for Tuesday's attack on the Cairo hotel in the town of Beledweyne. In a statement, several people are reported to have been killed. The gunmen detonated a car bomb before storming into the building, firing. An intense battle with Somali security forces was triggered, and a siege was ongoing in the early afternoon. Ali Suleiman, a shopkeeper who witnessed the attack, told Reuters news agency that he heard a huge blast followed by gunfire. Then another blast was heard. The witness said that part of the hotel was reduced to rubble. Al-Shabaab said in a statement that it had killed more than 10 people in the attack. However, reports on the death toll varied. Quoting Dahil Amin Jesso, a federal lawmaker from Beledweyne, Reuters reported that at least 4 people had been killed. The Associated Press news agency, quoting a resident in the area, reported that 6 people have been killed, including 2 well-known traditional elders. Well, that does it for our international news. Now let's have a look at the press.
Thank you, Olive. And looking at what's in the new vision today, UPDF deploys in South Sudan as IGAD calls emergency meeting over crisis in world's youngest state. Now, looking at our picture there, Museveni rallies support for NRM candidate in Kawempe polls, and inadequate sleep fueling mental sickness in children, a report states in the new vision. That also merges 31 billion released for staff pay, and also Katanga trial. Forensic examiner testifies on the report. Now, let's look at what's in the Daily Monitor. Museveni, Bobi Wine face-off in Kawempe, and leaders of the country's 2 top political parties spent most of yesterday in Kawempe, North Kampala, in a bid to woo voters to their camps ahead of tomorrow's by-election, which observers think is a litmus test for the party's popularity ahead of the general election coming up early next year. But still, in the Daily Monitor, the cost of dust. And a recent study shows that fine particulate matter air pollution in Kampala is above the World Health Organization air quality guidance value. Still in the Daily Monitor, is UPDF a gun for hire? Queries after South Sudan deployment. Now moving on to the Daily Nation. Ruto man opens up on 123 million spying software. Mr. Eric Ngeno, President William Ruto's speechwriter, has claimed that Tycoon Jayesh Saini's prodding triggered a fallout with Kenyan-Canadian Mary Wachuka over multi-million shilling spying software. And Mr. Ngeno is fighting off a compensation claim by the business woman. That is in the Daily Nation. But still in the Daily Nation, pay rise for teachers in TCS's 17 billion shilling extra budget. That is a story in the Daily Nation. And also looking at matters religion, Lent meets Ramadan in a hum of faith, love and devotion. But also looking at matters transport in the Daily Nation, Rironi Mau Summit project to begin in June. And it is Ruto who came for me, says Raila. Pact aimed at solving country's problems. That is in the Daily Nation, and that brings us to the end of what is in our press today on Good Morning Uganda.
Well, thank you, Julie. Now, the inspiration song for the day is Lift Me Up by Rihanna. Now, this song was written by Thames, a Nigerian artist, and it was the theme song for Wakanda. Enjoy.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala.
State Minister for Higher Education, Dr. Jesse Muyingo, has committed to continue supporting the youth in Bamunanika constituency socially and economically, and also promote their talents through sports and games.
Business came to a standstill on Gayaza Busiko Road at Kiziri Trading Center in Bamnanika Luero as sport supporters welcomed Minister Dr. Jesse Muyingo to launch Dr. Muyingo Football Tournament. Dr. Muyingo was escorted in a convoy of motor vehicles. Boda cyclists to Nacholi Busika passed through Busika Town Council amidst celebrations. At Nacholi Busika Playground, before launching the tournament, Dr. Muyingo donated consignment of sports jerseys, footballs and cash to the 43 teams participating in the tournament. The State Minister for Education promised to continue supporting the youth in the sports. He encouraged them to utilize the sports and games activities to unite and engage in government programs aimed at poverty alleviation. The match between Vumba FC and Kamira FC kicked off and ended in a goalless draw. Charity Marion Imnat and Salongo Kasbante.
Yes, lawyers also once in a while engage in sports activities. We also have a story here about lawyers and how they embrace sports for their own physical benefit.
Nkumba University hosted the 2025 annual Uganda Law Students Association's Sports Gala, where legal scholars battled it out in football and volleyball.
It is happening for the 6th time. This is a tradition for Uganda Law students to come together and leave books aside and then concentrate on sports.
It is intended so more to have students of law engage not only in academics but as well to something that can give them mental health, mental wellness, to understand. So we're looking at different awardings, of course, to the best teams, to the best players in the different games. We've been so much considered in football, basketball and volleyball as the competitive games, and other games have been left out for just fun.
The unpredictable weather was no match for the determined sportsmen and women who carried on during the rains, eager to win as many matches as they could. The games were played in honor of women in law practice and schooling, highlighting a message of further gender inclusion initiatives in Uganda's legal framework and oversight.
This time round, the president is a lady and from Islamic University in Uganda Females Campus, that is none other than Namleme Angela. So this is an achievement to IUIU and it is an achievement to us as ladies as we put up this sports gala on our Women's Day to remember and to honor the works of the women.
Participating universities in the 2025 annual Uganda Law Students Association's Sports Gala included Makerere University, Islamic University of Uganda, Nkozi.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
with mental health. And there is an upcoming mental health parents conference, and the theme for this year is promoting healthy parenting and prioritizing